Hey, what's up? Okay, so I have a problem.
Okay.
I'm thinking of reading Fahrenheit 451 for my.
It's such a good book.
Yeah, but I don't know anything about it, so.
I've read it like 5 times.
Ooh. So wanna like tell me something about it, like
You know
inside
what?
information?
I saw this trailer the other day and
Yeah.
it's like so good. You want to see it?
Let's go.
Okay.
Alright.
Insanity.
Fahrenheit 451, a dystopian fiction novel coming to bookstores near you.
Yeah, so that book trailer thing on Fahrenheit 451, that was actually really cool, but I need more.
451?
Yeah, we just watched the trailer on it, but I think we need more information. Because that was just a summary.
I can tell you everything.
You know the book?
Yeah, the dystopian novel.
Yes, what was that?
Now, to give Suckman more information on Fahrenheit 451. Let's give Suckman a brief summary.
This is Montag. Montag is actually a fireman in a futuristic society, except his job isn't to put out fires, it's to start them to be able to destroy books. Although he's a fireman who takes great pride in his job, Montag one day meets Clarice McClellan, a 17-year-old free-spirited girl who forces Montag to challenge the way he views the world, leaving him with the thirst to find knowledge. Because of her, he starts to feel that books aren't that bad after all. One day, when he comes home, he finds that his wife has overdosed on sleeping pills, but this isn't surprising, as it happens often. On multiple occasions in the book, it is evident that Montag's wife, Mildred, is extremely consumed by the forms of entertainment around her, and doesn't actually care about Montag. Montag's boss, Captain Beatty, reassures Montag time and time again that books are extremely dangerous, and no one should be reading them. Beatty is head of the fire department, Montag's boss. He heavily conforms to the regime of society, which is to increase censorship by burning books.
Still, Montag, feeling more rebellious than ever, decides to read the Bible with the help of an old ex-professor named Faber. Faber also works with Montag against the firemen. When Montag meets Captain Beatty at the firehouse the night after Faber agrees to help him against the firemen, Captain Beatty taunts Montag by quoting passages from the same book Montag has read, that is, the Bible. He does this to make the point that literature is confusing and problematic. Soon, Montag is led to a fire alarm by Captain Beatty, only it is at his own house. And before Montag can even get in the house, Mildred, Montag's wife, has already fled the scene. Montag torches his own house and then torches Captain Beatty, resulting in a mechanical hound being sent after him. And he finally avoids the chase. He meets up with people who he knows are against the firemen as well in a forest. These are the intellectuals and the poets and the scholars. Soon, the city is bombed by a warring country and everyone dies except Montag himself and the people he meets in the woods. Here, they decide to rebuild society and start.
So the themes in the book are pretty interesting. Do you think you have any quotes or any focus passages that I could look at for the themes?
Yeah, definitely. Look over there.
The jet bombers going over, going over, going over. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 6 of them, 9 of them, 12 of them. One and one and one and another and another and another did all the screaming for him. He opened his own mouth and let their shriek come down and out between his bared teeth. The house shook. The flare went out in his hand.
This quote appears in the first chapter of the book, where Montag sees his wife laying next to an empty bottle. This quote renders significant emotions because it gives the reader an accurate representation of what Montag is feeling. The description it communicates enough for the reader to feel a moment of connection with the scene. Specifically, it alludes to a war setting where soldiers who are in battle encounter moments where they witness horrifying scenes, and no matter how much they want to scream out of fear or out of worry, they cannot. In order for the reader to feel the intended raw emotion, it becomes necessary to include passages like these, which slowly change up the course of emotions that need to be felt in order to uncover the true meaning that lies under the words.
You know the law, said Beatty. Where's your common sense? None of these books agree with each other. You've been locked up here for years with a regular damn Tower of Babel.
This is a quote by Captain Beatty, who says it when he's speaking to the owner of a hidden library who lights herself on fire along with her books. This passage highlights the argument about why books should be illegal. The Tower of Babel is a biblical illusion which represents confusion. In the Bible, a group of people were going to build a tower so high that it would reach the heaven. God did not like the idea of them trying to do this, and so he made it so that they all started speaking different languages. When this happened, they could no longer understand each other or talk to each other. Captain Beatty and his society believe in the same idea, the unity of thought, because differing ideas often affect change and even revolutions. It reduces the power of a government's control over the minds of its citizens, and it's clear that Beatty's society in Fahrenheit 451 doesn't want people to think. He wants simple-minded people who will do what they're told.
Last night I thought about all the kerosene I've used in the past 10 years, and I thought about books. And for the first time I realized that a man was behind each one of the books.
This quote represents Montag's realization of what he has been doing for all these years. It expresses his reflection on his actions that he has mindlessly continued for a significant portion of his life. It shows his mind separating from the constraint from what he's been doing without thinking twice. And this is important because it signifies the point where Montag actually begins to analyze his actions and how they can potentially be wrong. Through this, his character development becomes apparent as he now has grown to love the thing that he once destroyed. When referring to a man behind each one of these books, Montag sees more than just the paper with text. He sees another man who has created them, and he sees a book.
Don't step on the toes of the dog lovers, the cat lovers, doctors, lawyers, merchants, chiefs, Mormons, Baptists, Unitarians, second-generation Chinese, Swedes, Italians, Germans, Texans, Brooklynites, Irishmen, people from Oregon or Mexico.
Okay, well, that's a nice quote, but what does this really mean?
Beatty basically says this in order to achieve happiness. It is best to keep people from offending or being offended, as nobody has to think hard or question anything, which ties back into the idea that ignorance is bliss.
Oh, well, that's a nice meaning behind the quote, but how can I connect it to real world today? Like, what's the connection? What's the relevance of this?
In a religious context, people are offended when someone has an opinion that opposes their belief. If someone criticizes religion and belief, they are seen as hateful or phobic towards others, simply for holding and voicing one's contradicting opinion.
Well, isn't there another connection to politics?
Politics is another field in which this quote can be explored. Simply holding an opinion affiliates you with a political party and can be deemed as offensive by others.
How else can we connect this?
Modern media is a big culprit of this. They have the attitude of never offending. Examples include disclaimers ahead of shows for fear of having a lawsuit levied against them by some upset viewer, or the inclusiveness of media to encompass everyone.